Welcome back to Y&R Spoilers. Today, we dive into a story that feels less like a simple soap opera romance and more like a carefully plotted chess game, one that blends love, power, memory, and ambition in ways only Genoa City can. This is the story of Cain, Phyllis, and Lily. A love triangle, yes, but one so layered that it mirrors life's most difficult choices: loyalty versus temptation, peace versus ambition, and love versus power. From the very first whispers of connection between Cain and Phyllis, the drama unfolded with subtlety, charm, and danger. What began as witty business banter slowly turned into something deeper, something flirtatious, and ultimately something threatening to everyone involved. The shadows of old love, the hunger for new power, and the memories of trust all collided in society, Chancellor Winters, and in the quiet corners of Genoa City. This is not just about who Cain loves. It is about who Cain becomes when he is forced to choose. The beginning, flirtation and strategy. It all began with light-hearted exchanges. Phyllis and Cain, both intelligent and sharp, often found themselves in meetings that stretched longer than necessary, their conversations carrying more weight than simple corporate strategy. The corners of their smiles shifted, their tones carried hidden meanings, and the innocent spark of collaboration began to glow with something far more dangerous: desire. Phyllis saw something in Cain that perhaps even he didn't see in himself: the potential to rise, to dominate Genoa City, to become a leader in ways that went beyond his past. But in order to awaken that side of him, what she teasingly referred to as Aristotle Deus, Cain had to let go of Lily. For Phyllis, Lily was an anchor, a tie to Cain's past that weakened his ambition. Cain, on the other hand, enjoyed this attention. With Phyllis, he felt like he could take risks, bend the rules, and play a faster game. She encouraged him, praised his leadership, and presented him as Genoa City's next big visionary. Meetings weren't just about numbers anymore, they were about power, presentation, and appearances. And appearances in Genoa City matter more than anyone admits. Society, the first turning point. It was at Society, the city's most famous restaurant, where this triangle truly began to unravel. Cain invited Phyllis to dinner. To others, it looked like a simple business meeting. But the lingering glances, the laughter, the subtle touches of fingers grazing papers, all of it created an intimacy that was impossible to ignore. That night, Tracy happened to pass by. Her interaction with Cain was warm, simple, and filled with respect. No games, no hidden agenda, just kindness and memory. And in that brief exchange, Phyllis saw something that unsettled her. Cain had a side that was untouched by ambition, a side that found peace in kindness rather than power. Phyllis was not jealous in an explosive way. She was jealous in a strategic way. She knew that if Cain continued to be drawn back to those quiet, grounding connections, then the Dumas side of him, the ambitious side she wanted to unleash, would never fully belong to her. So she accelerated her game. Phyllis's push. Phyllis knew how Genoa City worked. If you wanted to change a man's reputation, you didn't do it through private conversations, you did it through public opinion. She praised Cain openly, dropped casual remarks in corporate corridors, and positioned him at the front of every big decision. Slowly, people began to see Cain not as the man from a broken marriage, but as a bold strategist ready to redefine the city's balance of power. Their chemistry became undeniable. Subtle gestures, quick smiles, and long eye contact filled rooms where everyone noticed. Rumors began to swirl, not because of what they said, but because of how they looked at each other. And in Genoa City, perception is reality. Lily's silent pain. For Lily, this was devastating in the quietest way possible. She didn't storm into rooms or scream accusations. She simply observed. Every laugh, every meeting that included Phyllis, every shift in Cain's tone when he talked about his strategies, all of it painted a picture she couldn't ignore. Lily represented discipline, trust, and morality. With her, Cain had always been grounded. She reminded him that every mistake carried a price. But ironically, that very discipline made Phyllis's world of risk and ambition even more tempting to him. It was a tug of war between two versions of Cain. One grounded in Lily's steadiness. One ignited by Phyllis's fire. the subtle betrayal. The breaking point came in a scene that was as small as it was destructive. At society, Cain and Phyllis leaned too close over a proposal. Their laughter lingered. Her fingers brushed his wrist. And Cain did not pull away. Lily walked in at that exact moment. She didn't need to scream. She didn't need proof beyond that. The silence of that scene was enough. Everyone knew what it meant. Phyllis saw Lily's face and instead of retreating, she doubled down. She pushed Cain harder, scheduling urgent meetings, positioning him in bold deals, and making sure the financial press tied his name to words like turning point and new order. Her logic was simple. If Cain became too successful, no one would question his personal choices. But success built on betrayal is never stable. Tracy's distance. Tracy, always the gentle soul, slowly began to step back. She didn't scold Cain. She didn't accuse him. She simply stopped offering the warm shelter of her presence. Her respect cooled into polite distance. And in Genoa City, that kind of disappointment carries weight. Cain noticed, but instead of correcting course, he leaned even more into Phyllis's encouragement. The Dumas side of him thrived on speed, power, and ambition. But with every step forward, he lost a piece of the peace he once had. Kiss, the explosion. The rumors turned into reality one evening when Cain and Phyllis, caught up in the euphoria of a business victory, let their emotions spill over into a kiss. Not a long, passionate affair. Just one kiss. But in Genoa City, that is all it takes. A kiss is enough to turn strategy into scandal, chemistry into betrayal, and whispers into headlines. For Lily, it was the undeniable truth she had been waiting for. She didn't fight. She didn't argue. She simply stepped away, rearranging the boundaries of her life with calm dignity. And in that silence, Cain felt the full weight of what he had done. From that moment on, everything shifted. The public saw Cain and Phyllis as a rising power couple. Articles praised their chemistry, their boldness, their vision. But in private, Cain began to realize the cost. Lily's trust was gone. Tracy's quiet support had turned cold. Even Cain's own self-image began to fracture. Was he truly ambitious, or was he just a man easily swayed by praise? Phyllis, too, felt the pressure. She had won Cain's attention, but at what price? She feared that once the thrill of ambition wore off, Cain might long for the peace Lily or Tracy represented. The dilemma. Cain now stood at a crossroads. If he chose Phyllis fully, he had to accept the loss of Lily, the cooling of Tracy, and the harsh judgment of Genoa City. He would have to prove that his power came from within, not from Phyllis's encouragement or Lily's grounding, but from his own conviction. If he chose to return to Lily, he would have to face humiliation, rebuild trust, and endure the whispers of being indecisive. Genoa City has no patience for those who hesitate. Either way, he had to decide. And quickly. The bigger truth. In the end, this story is not just about who Cain chooses. It's about what kind of man Cain chooses to be. Phyllis represents speed, ambition, and the thrill of risk. Lily represents trust, discipline, and peace. Tracy represents kindness, memory, and balance. Each woman reflects a part of Cain's own soul. And Genoa City, as always, is the stage where these choices play out, not just as personal stories, but as public battles where every move is analyzed, every rumor magnified, and every relationship tied to power. The Phyllis-Cain-Lily triangle is not just a love story. It's a mirror of how ambition tests loyalty, how power feeds desire, and how love can be both an anchor and a chain. The night at society will be remembered, not for a kiss or a laugh, but as the moment where choices became unavoidable. Because in Genoa City, no one is entirely right and no one is entirely wrong. They only carry the weight of the choices they make. And Cain's next choice, whether to chase power with Phyllis or return to peace with Lily, will define not just his future, but the balance of the entire city. So the question remains, when faced with the fire of ambition and the calm of trust, which Cain will emerge, the Aristotle Dumas that Phyllis desires, or the grounded man that Lily once loved? Only time will tell. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on the young and the restless. The drama never stops in Genoa City, and neither do we.